Welcome, everyone, to Cloud and Clear. I'm super excited to take over as host this week and invite some inspiring and amazing women in tech from SADA to join me today. In honor of Women's History Month, we wanted to take a few minutes to highlight some of the women that work at SADA, their inspiring journeys, to bring them to this point and be able to really share some of their insights and advice with the next generation of women coming into this space and being able to really talk about some of the challenges that they've faced, their take on cloud trends and what's the next, innovative projects they're working on, and be able to share with you that, women in tech are not only just inspiring to women, but really have taken on amazing roles to lead customer, development, customer success, and be able to bring culture, a whole new meaning at our company at SADA. So I want to please join me in inviting Kelly Wright, who is the head of engineering for Google Workspace, Kristina Turley, who is engineering pod lead, and Heather Tran, who is our West technical account manager. So welcome, ladies. Thank you for joining me. You can say hello.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to take a few minutes and just go around and have you introduce yourself. Give us a little bit of background if you can. So Kelly, we'll start off with you.
All right. Well, my name's Kelly Wright. As Narine mentioned, I head up our engineering team for our Google Workspace practice. I've been here at SADA for just shy of 8 years, so have gone from our support team to our deployment team, have run circles with sales as well, and now run the team of engineers working all of our Workspace deployments.
Thank you, Kelly. You have an amazing team. Thank you for sharing that. Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi there. Yep, so I'm Kristina Turley, and I am on Kelly's team. So I'm an engineering pod lead, and what I do is lead and support our enterprise clients in their deployment to Google Workspace. So I've been at SADA 11 years now, and I've kind of been on the same team the whole time, but I think I have done every single role since I've been at SADA, from end user training to PMing to sales engineer, but I definitely found my sweet spot as an engineer deploying Workspace.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. You have been at SADA for a very long time. We're going to come back to that. Heather Tran.
Hi, Heather, and I am the West Regional Lead for Technical Account Manager. I lead a phenomenal team of GCP engineers who help our top tier GCP customers get comfortable with Google Cloud and answer any and all questions on Google Cloud. And I've been with SADA for about 3 years now, and I created the TAM program here, and I'm excited to see where it goes as we continue to grow and expand 3x by the end of the year.
Yes, we have big growth plans for the TAM team, so that's exciting. Thank you. And I just wanted to kind of start first and foremost of how did you prepare for this technical role? If you could just go back a few years, whether it was just before SADA or after college or during your college years, how did you kind of have that passion ignited of going into the tech world, and what steps did you take to prepare yourself, whether it was through a certain education program or certification? So if you could touch on that. Heather, let's start with you.
Yeah, thank you. I actually did a career change, and I was in academic advising low-income first-generation students to pursue careers in STEM, technology, math, engineering, and of course science. And I took the plunge myself about 5 years ago, and I'm very happy and excited because there's so much to learn. And in terms of preparation, I prepared immensely for the Google Cloud certifications. That gave me a really good base and foundation to understand all of the products and services that were available on GCP.
Did it come naturally for you kind of to jump into the tech industry and get the lingo and understand the nuances of the tech world, or did that take time?
That definitely took time. I think it definitely helped for me to embrace change and the ability to just kind of run and go with the flow and learn new technology that way. But it certainly took me quite some time to be certified, and learn all of the terms on Google Cloud.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Kelly, what kind of ignited your passion in tech, and what preparation have you taken to get to your role?
Yeah, so I was actually a math major in college and very much avoided my CS classes like the plague, because honestly, I didn't think I'd like them. And then I took a couple courses towards the end of my college years and absolutely loved it. Very much regretted not taking them sooner. So once I got out of college, kind of just jumped into the world of networking, which was what was around locally. I had a group of professors as well who were very invested in making sure students made it into the IT networking world in Nashville. So I was actually in Nashville at the time, and just kind of put my resume out there. I started prepping out for, at the time, the CCNA, which is the Cisco first exam, if you want to compare it to the Google Cloud Architect exam. And, from there, really everything just turned into a puzzle. So I think that was the biggest thing I really liked about math, was all of the puzzles that I got through there. And moving into technology was just a different puzzle to try and solve. So not necessarily a lot of coding up front, but especially in the networking world, which I was in at the time, it was, all right, what is the best network to put together for this scenario over here? So then as I moved into the Google Cloud space as well, it just turned into a different puzzle for me to solve.
Great. Thank you for touching on the fact that your instructors and teachers made a difference. I feel like that is so important at an early age to get the support, right? When young girls are going into STEM programs and, engineering majors, to have that kind of support happen early on.
Yeah, it definitely made a huge difference, especially the comfortability level. My first networking conference, so I was going out there to try and find a job, and one of my professors went with me, found the conference, went with me, walked around with me so that I could get a feel for things. So it definitely helped a lot.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Chris.
So I'm going to take us back to college as well. So in college, I had started off as an international business major. I pretty quickly realized that this was not the vertical for me, right? Like, I just wasn't going to be happy in the long term. I think I was worried that I was going to get bored, for lack of a better word. So I added on computer science as a second major. So I graduated a double major. But it really was the best decision I ever made. You know, right out of the gate. I had a job before I even graduated college, so it really solidified that I made the right decision in adding on that computer science major. Um, every job that I've had along the way since, it's just been such a wonderful experience with incredible mentors, learning so much along the way. Interestingly enough, all of my jobs have been focused around some sort of email platform. So along with that, we're talking about our passion and what kind of keeps us going. And I really love helping clients transform in small, meaningful ways. And we see it weekly, with what we do. We get to see clients transform right before our eyes, whether it's something so small as IT admins no longer have to manage mailbox quotas. With Google, there's none of that. That's a huge part of their day freed up. Or whether it's delegating the legal team access into Google Vault so they can perform their own searches and exports on the data that they need, alleviating that burden on the IT team. So that's really what I love to see and keeps the passion going, is seeing these client IT teams transform and learn the Google way. It never gets old.
Yeah, you're all in customer facing roles. So I'm a little jealous because I don't get to work with customers, all the time. I'm always thrilled when I get to tell a customer story of transformation. And that's possible because of all the work that you all do with them on a daily basis. So I'm actually going to, go to Heather here because you're a technical account manager. So you manage a, kind of a portfolio of customers that you work with. Tell me a little bit about, what their challenges are and how do you in your role help them through that?
Yeah, the biggest challenge I find a lot of our clients have is just never having enough resources, right? And as technical account managers, we come in and we have the background on GCP, and our customers range anywhere from new field to they've been on GCP for years now. And whether it's greenfield to someone who's a company that has been on GCP for quite some time, there will still be questions that arise because of that resource constraint, right? They don't have enough members to dedicate to security analysis. So as technical account managers, we take the responsibility to research and understand the customer's use case and present them best practice on GCP. And that also means running tests and running demos and presenting those proof of concepts for our customers too. So that's been the biggest challenge I've seen. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I did want to kind of just touch on the fact that you've all been in this male dominant, industry for some time now. And I'm sure you have multiple stories to share on how you've navigated that path forward and being able to find your voice and, get to the next stage in your career. So I'd love for all of you to share your experience and, how you were able to get past it. So Kelly, we'll start with you. Do you mind sharing a story with us?
Sure. There are always plenty. I do want to put a little bit, I guess, a positive spin, and this kind of goes into company culture as well, is that I guess as, we all have made our way through our different roles. I know for myself, there were many times where I'd be at a customer kickoff and I'd be up there running through different presentations, different best practices, and the customer would look at a male colleague, whether it be someone technical or not, to be like, your thoughts here? And it says a lot about your colleagues as well for them to be able to say, well, this person is the technical expert, so she's definitely the person to go to. And so, I think we've all experienced those moments. I know I've experienced that with, watching my team do the same thing, where they're up there doing the presentations and the men will look at the other men and we're like, no, she's the technical expert, that this is who you need to go to for these types of questions. So I think that's the biggest route, is always just reinforcing and raising up the positive as well with your allies and your colleagues to say, like, yeah, like, let me be the point of contact here, because not only is it reinforcing the fact that you have that subject matter expertise, but also it's raising your voice as well.
Right. Heather, do you have any stories to share?
Yeah, I do. I'm on that same note with Kelly. I do want to preface that the men in this industry, at least I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by great mentors and great supervisors and great colleagues that have supported me throughout the process. And the few times that I do realize that I'm a woman in this field, and not only a woman, but the only woman in the room, there is that shock value. And I can share one story where prior to joining SADA in my last job, I was at a lunch gathering, and as I'm eating, the conversation, went about, and a male colleague looked at me and said, "Heather, as a woman, how do we try to get more women to transition into this field?" And it kind of shocked me a little bit, because one, I had to consider the fact that this colleague, I think, fully had great intention in terms of, like, okay, how do we get more women into this industry, right? But then also, I felt I was in a spotlight, because now I have to speak on behalf of all women, which I cannot, right? I can only speak for myself. And there was a moment of silence, and I just really calmly said, well, whether you're a man or a woman, I think transitioning into this field will be difficult for everyone. And I can only speak for my own experience and provide guidance. And that was my response, and I left it at that.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And so, speaking of that burden, do you feel like in your roles you have a role and a responsibility, if you will, to kind of work harder to, open pathways for other women or younger, girls looking into getting into tech and be able to mentor them? Do you feel that kind of responsibility? Chris, we'll start with you.
A little bit, and probably more so whenever you transition to a new job or a new position. You kind of have to establish yourself, make it known that the strong work ethic is there. But I feel like once you've established yourself, and you have the trust of the team, that responsibility for me kind of goes away, right? Like, you're a little bit of a family now, you're part of the team. But you absolutely, when starting a new job or a new position, it's more top of mind.
Kristina, thank you for sharing that. You've been with SADA 11 years now, which is quite a long time, as you mentioned. So you've had multiple roles and responsibilities. You've seen a tremendous growth at SADA and, corporate culture changes. Tell us a little bit about, how you have seen SADA develop and what's kept you here, for such a long time, and what are you excited to see happen at SADA next?
So I came from a Fortune 500 company to SADA. Without question, it was a huge change. And I think, quite honestly, I was looking for a change. I wanted a change. SADA really gave me the quick pace and the challenges that I was seeking out. And then we're a Google partner, right? So Google is literally rolling out new features weekly. So apparently I welcome change and I look forward to change. So SADA being, so nimble, and then Google's innovation, I think it really nurtures me, keeps me really excited about the job. And then once I really became ingrained in SADA's culture, it's very clear pretty quickly that it's a family, right? And we see that with everything that SADA does, we're part of a big family here. So that has really solidified SADA and SADA's culture for me. It's a perfect fit for the long term. So I'm really comfortable here. The engineering team, it truly is like our own little family here. And Kelly has played an amazing role here, getting us to all be like a family. There's very, very little turnover in our engineering team, so that speaks volumes. We've really built up our team, the engineering team, to be something great. And as far as where we're going, I mean, the sky's the limit here. Every time we hear Tony talk, it's just great new things, and sometimes they're unimaginable things, but they come to fruition. And I have trust and always have had trust in SADA and our executive team that they're leading us in the right direction.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So Kelly, you're the leader of this amazing team. Tell us a little bit about how the culture at SADA and leadership has helped you develop your team and kind of cultivate this mini family scenario that you have, where everyone is so engaged and so supportive of each other.
Yeah. So, I mean, Kristina said it really well in terms of, at SADA, we all have our own challenges that we get to go grapple for ourselves. And the sky really is the limit on what you want to achieve. And so, when I first started at SADA, I had a lot of people mentoring me. I know Simon before Heather was here, Simon was mentoring me on Workspace items and then Google Apps, and Kristina also stepped in and helped with various things. And we definitely still have a mentality of like building your own destiny, really. And that's what I truly enjoyed when I started on our deployment team. And so were there struggles? Kristina can tell me, and I will tell you myself that like it took probably a year to really pull myself out of the deployment mindset of just like going in and trying to fix the problems and let's go and let's do all of this stuff, and really stepping out to let people figure out new solutions, because as everything is changing, as much as I want to be the expert in everything, I'm no longer that person. And so really building trust with my team and trusting them to be able to find the answers, and trust that, that sounds good. That has changed since the last time I did a deployment, and let's logically go through to make sure everything makes sense. And let's go from there. And really, SADA as a whole has a mentality of work hard, play hard. So I do try and enforce that across the team as well, making sure, we work weekends. Many people do not like to change their mail direction during the middle of a week. So we are doing migrations throughout weekends. And so trying to balance that with the ability to take time for ourselves, or, whether that's PTO days or even just time to do a goal, even a personal goal. So I'd say that's really kind of where a lot of that feeds out of. And SADA has done a really great job of enabling their leaders to be able to build their teams in that fashion.
That's great. That's great. I agree. I feel like the culture at SADA is what has kept me here for over 8 years. And I feel like every year it just gets better and better. And just kind of going back to what Chris mentioned, that innovation and that change from Google Cloud is just always keeping us on our toes, and always, kind of igniting us to want to learn more. And especially from my side, from the marketing side and my team, we're always looking for the next, product launch, the next feature update. And so, about a year and a half ago, we divested our previous, Microsoft practice and went all in on Google Cloud, and really, really believing that is the way forward for us. And so, tell me how you felt when that news came out, and how do you feel that Google Cloud, in its innovation and roadmaps is in a competitive spot.
Yeah. So being on the professional services side, it definitely was exciting and sad at the same time. I did have a lot of friends that left our office those days, but from a professional services side, we've always been aiming towards a unification of processes, being able to streamline how we're doing things together. And whether good or bad, our processes across the different teams were different. There is a different mentality across how to deploy Microsoft as a whole, whether that was at SADA or others, versus how to deploy Google Workspace. So being able to really hone in on how we deployed Workspace, and not necessarily always having to adjust for something that might not have worked as well for Workspace as it did for Microsoft. So from a professional services standpoint, it was a really exciting time for us to be able to stay unified in our processes. In terms of where SADA was going with it, it was also very exciting because we no longer had that awkward firewall, I suppose, of having to play both sides. And not that we go down a path of being like, well, Office 365 doesn't give you X, Y, and Z, and it's terrible at this. It's just not the mentality that we have. But really being able to hone in on saying, well, we've had that practice before, and we've seen how X, Y, and Z works, and now we can tell you with full confidence that we're 100% all in on Google Workspace and believe that Google Workspace is the better product in comparison. I can let Heather talk to the Google Cloud side of that, though.
Heather, I know they had a huge growth in Q4 and 2020, even during a pandemic, right? It just skyrocketed the interest level. And certainly we've seen our customers grow with Google Cloud. So kind of tell me what your perspective is on that.
Yeah, I have a background in, working within the Alibaba's cloud platform and AWS. And when I got to do really hands-on work with GCP and get to know the platform very well as I was working at Google, I can see why there were previously not a emphasis in marketing within Google, because there is this attitude within Google. It's like, our product is the best and it will sell itself. But of course, marketing will definitely help and assist with trying to get onto the same playing field as AWS, right? There's just that Google fiber backbone, and there is a reason why if a company is specializing in machine learning and or anything AI, they will have a preference for Google Cloud, right? And we see it across the industry.
Chris, kind of tell me a little bit about your perspective on Google Cloud in the landscape, and how you're helping kind of customers understand the differentiations.
So one thing that I am seeing increasingly with our enterprise clients is they're really pushing to see parity between their traditional legacy environments with Google in terms of compliance. So, examples might be client managed certificates or end-to-end encryption, maturity with the cybersecurity models. So Google does a fantastic job of actually listening to their clients, and their clients are consistently demanding this, and they do take strides in trying to meet these demands. I think this year we're going to see quite a bit of movement there to help get some of those stragglers that are using some of these compliance policies as a roadblocker of moving to Google. I think some of those blockers are going to be removed this year, and potentially we'll see more enterprise clients making the transition over.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Google Workspace just announced some amazing feature updates, right? And the roadmap.
Always.
It's just amazing what they're continuously trying to bring to the customer and address their challenges, especially in this work from home hybrid, environment that many organizations are facing. So with Women's History Month, I wanted just to go back and ask you all to share your advice on, how younger girls and young women can kind of enter the tech space in various roles and be able to navigate and be successful. So we'll start off with you, Heather.
Yeah, I think networking is number one. If you can find a mentor, whether it's if it's women, I think it would be tremendous and something that both can relate to in terms of share experiences. But there are plenty of supportive men in this field, and if you can find a Simon Margolis, hang on to that mentor and be able to ask as many questions, deploy and test and demo on your own, and work hard, and you'll get there and succeed.
Great. Chris, what's your advice?
I guess my advice would be, don't limit yourself by traditional thinking or by guardrails that have been put up by society. Find what excites you, make it happen. You're in control. Life is short. You got to do what makes you happy.
Absolutely.
But I would also add in, as they're seeking out job opportunities, to also pay attention to the culture of the organization. Do your homework ahead of time, find out from other employees what the culture is really like, because all of us are kind of saying that SADA's culture is what is keeping us here at SADA primarily. And SADA does a tremendous job of seeking out talented females like ourselves and retaining them, but they also do a really good job of blurring the lines. We don't really see gender so much. So I think it's important to keep that in mind when seeking out job opportunities, is the culture of the organization.
Agreed. So important. Kelly.
It is difficult to go last after both of those. Those are both really great answers. My addition to that would be to make sure to find your voice and hold it close. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do anything. I think a lot of us as women, we do a lot and we don't say anything about it. It's something that we expect of ourselves and we assume others know that we are doing it. So making sure that as you are doing things or as you are going out and applying for jobs, don't be shy about what accomplishments you've had. Those are the times, and those are especially the times to talk about your accomplishments. But even as you go into a job, as you are trying to find your way through and find your place at your new job, is making sure people understand like what you are doing, what you have accomplished, what you are continuing to do at your job. So that would be my advice.
Yes, I totally agree. That's something all women need to get better at. I lead the I Am Remarkable sessions, and that's one of the key components is really sharing your accomplishments and doing so confidently. And one of the statements that they mentioned in there is it's not bragging if it's true. Right. So, I always want to encourage, bragging where possible to really make sure everyone understands what you bring to the table. All wonderful advice. Thank you, ladies, for joining me today and for, sharing your wisdom and insights, and really inspiring others to get into the community, and being able to advocate for each other. Right. So important for us to advocate for each other and then have mentors and men as allies to support the initiatives. So thank you very much. This wraps up another episode of Cloud and Clear. Thank you for joining.
And thank you for being our wonderful CMO too, Narine. You're a great example.
You're too kind. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Cloud and Clear. Check the show notes for links to this week's topics. And don't forget to connect with us on Twitter @CloudandClear and our website, sada.com. Be sure to rate and review the show on your favorite podcast app.